They're
You know,
leaning in.
or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified
Yeah.
of some kind of.
The recent live-action adaptation of Disney's Snow White has sparked intense debate, reflecting broader tensions in the entertainment industry about balancing modern sensibilities with the timeless appeal of classic stories. The film, released in 2025, arrived amid a storm of controversy driven by casting choices, narrative changes, and public statements from its lead actress, Rachel Zegler. Audience reactions, critical reviews, and dismal box office returns have positioned this remake as a cautionary tale for studios attempting to reimagine cherished narratives. The turmoil surrounding Snow White underscores Disney's struggle to maintain its legacy of enchanting storytelling while navigating the expectations of diverse, contemporary audiences. Disney, long regarded as a beacon of family-friendly entertainment, has faced increasing scrutiny over its approach to remaking animated classics. The 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, a groundbreaking achievement in animation, remains a cultural touchstone, cherished for its hand-drawn artistry, memorable characters, and heartfelt narrative. Its story of a kind-hearted princess, Aebosia's wicked queen, and a group of endearing dwarfs resonated across generations, cementing Disney's reputation for crafting universally appealing fairy tales. The decision to reimagine this beloved classic as a live-action film was ambitious, but the final product has been widely criticized for straying too far from the original spirit. From the outset, the Snow White remake faced challenges that set the stage for its troubled reception. Early teasers and promotional materials hinted at significant departures from the 1937 film, prompting skepticism among fans. The decision to reframe Snow White as a more assertive, independent character sparked debate about whether the character's traditional gentleness was being sacrificed for modern ideals of empowerment. Additionally, the choice to replace the iconic Seven Dwarfs with CGI magical beings drew criticism for sidelining opportunities for actors with dwarfism and diluting the charm of the original characters. These changes, combined with a heavy reliance on digital effects, fueled perceptions that Disney was prioritizing technological spectacle over emotional authenticity. Rachel Zegler's casting as Snow White initially generated excitement, given her breakout role in West Side Story and her vocal talent. However, her public statements during the film's promotional cycle became a lightning rod for controversy. Zegler openly criticized the 1937 animated film, describing it as outdated and dismissing its romantic elements as irrelevant to modern audiences. She emphasized that the new Snow White would not need a prince to save her, framing the remake as a bold feminist reimagining. While some praised her for advocating progressive values, many fans felt her remarks disrespected the original story and Disney's legacy. Her comments, which included scoffing at the idea of a prince and mocking the dwarfs, alienated a significant portion of the audience who held the classic film dear. Disney's apparent reluctance to address Zegler's statements exacerbated the backlash. The studio's silence was interpreted by some as tacit approval, further widening the divide between fans of the original and supporters of the remake's progressive approach. As the promotional campaign unfolded, Zegler attempted to soften her stance, expressing enthusiasm for the film closer to its release. However, many viewers found her reversal unconvincing, and the damage to public perception was already done. The controversy surrounding Zegler highlighted a broader issue: the challenge of balancing creative freedom for actors with the need to maintain goodwill among audiences who value a studio's heritage. The handling of the Seven Dwarfs proved to be another contentious issue. Early in production, Disney announced plans to replace the dwarfs with distinct magical creatures, citing concerns about perpetuating stereotypes. This decision drew criticism from members of the dwarfism community, who argued that it eliminated valuable acting opportunities for performers who could have authentically portrayed the roles. Actor Peter Dinklage, known for his role in Game of Thrones, publicly criticized the depiction of dwarfs in the original fairy tale, calling it demeaning. While some applauded his stance, others noted the irony of his participation in fantasy projects featuring dwarf characters and questioned whether his comments inadvertently limited opportunities for other actors with dwarfism. In response to the backlash, Disney adjusted its approach, ultimately opting for computer-generated versions of the dwarfs rather than casting real performers. This choice, however, failed to satisfy audiences. Critics argued that the CGI dwarfs lacked the warmth and personality, of their hand-drawn counterparts, undermining the emotional resonance of the live-action format. The decision to prioritize digital effects over practical or performance-based elements reinforced perceptions that Disney was leaning too heavily on technology at the expense of authentic storytelling. Leaked images of the CGI dwarfs, which circulated online before the film's release, sparked widespread ridicule and further eroded public confidence in the project. The film's narrative choices also contributed to its negative reception. The original Snow White thrived on its simplicity and emotional clarity, with a protagonist whose kindness and innocence endeared her to audiences. In contrast, the 2025 remake presented a Snow White who was more self-assured and, to some, abrasive. Critics noted that Zegler's portrayal clashed with the character's traditional gentleness, with some scenes depicting Snow White as lecturing her companions rather than embracing them with warmth. This shift in tone alienated viewers who expected a heroine more aligned with the original's compassionate nature. The romantic subplot, which Zegler had publicly criticized, was downplayed in favor of a focus on Snow White's personal agency. But many felt this change disrupted the story's emotional balance. Gal Gadot's performance as the evil queen was another element that generated anticipation, but ultimately failed to salvage the film. Early promotional materials suggested a strong dynamic between Gadot and Zegler, but rumors of behind-the-scenes tension overshadowed their on-screen chemistry. Some speculated that conflicting viewpoints or personal disagreements between the leads contributed to a lack of cohesion in the final product. The marketing campaign's focus on Zegler's Snow White also minimized Gadot's presence, leading some fans to feel that the evil queen's role was underutilized. Reviewers described Gadot's performance as compelling, but lost amid the film's broader missteps. When Snow White finally hit theaters, audience reactions confirmed the grim expectations set by the trailers. Online platforms were flooded with not negative ratings, with many viewers expressing disappointment in the film's lack of emotional depth and over-reliance on CGI. Box office returns were lackluster, reflecting a broader disconnect between Disney's vision and audience expectations. Critics argued that the remake's attempt to modernize the story had stripped away the universal qualities that made the original a timeless classic. The heavy use of digital effects, combined with a protagonist who felt unrelatable to many, underscored the challenges of updating a story so deeply embedded in popular culture. The Snow White debacle has prompted broader questions about Disney's creative direction. The studio has long been celebrated for its ability to blend awe-inspiring visuals with heartfelt storytelling, but recent projects have faced criticism for prioritizing cultural commentary over narrative authenticity. The controversies surrounding Snow White reflect a larger uncertainty about whether Disney can still capture the magic that once defined its brand. Observers have pointed to the studio's reliance on advanced technology, such as CGI, as a potential misstep in projects that might benefit from a more human touch. The decision to sideline real performers in favor of digital creations, for instance, highlighted a disconnect between Disney's intentions and the expectations of audiences who value genuine representation. The film's reception also underscores the ongoing culture wars within the entertainment industry. Supporters of the remake argue that updating classic stories is essential to reflect contemporary values, particularly around gender and representation. They contend that the original Snow White, with its passive heroine and romantic focus, no longer resonates with modern audiences. Critics, however, argue that radical changes risk alienating fans who cherish the timeless qualities of Disney's classics. The backlash against Zegler's comments and the film's narrative shifts suggest that audiences are wary of adaptations that appear to prioritize social messaging over storytelling. The Snow White remake has become a case study in the challenges of reimagining iconic narratives. Disney's attempt to balance nostalgia with innovation has exposed the delicate nature of updating stories that hold deep emotional significance for audiences. The studio's decision to pursue a progressive reinterpretation, while well-intentioned, appears to have misjudged the extent to which fans value the original's simplicity and charm. The controversy surrounding the dwarfs, in particular, highlights the complexities of representation in modern filmmaking. While Disney aimed to avoid perpetuating stereotypes, the choice to use CGI characters was seen by some as a missed opportunity to provide meaningful roles for actors with dwarfism.